You are listening to the Brilliant Events and Venues podcast, where you learn about everything from unique ideas for attendee engagement to cool venues for hosting your events. Thank you for tuning in to episode 4 of the Brilliant Events and Venues podcast. My name is Shantae, and I'm the project manager for Scavenger. And today we have a special guest on the show. His name is Pete Georgeff. Pete is a U.S. veteran and also city leader at Bunker Labs Columbus. So for those of you who may not be familiar with Bunker Labs, it's a national network of veteran entrepreneurs dedicated to helping new veteran entrepreneurs start their own business. They are committed to seeing that every entrepreneur in the veteran community has a network, tools, and resources they need to start their own business. Let's welcome Pete to the show. Hi, Pete, and welcome to the Brilliant Events and Venues podcast. Now, Pete is a city leader at Bunker Labs Columbus, and he joined the Marines right out of high school. So, Pete, tell us about your experience in the Marines.
Yeah, and you and I have talked before, and I think we have similar stories, but joined right out of high school, like you mentioned, and I just never grew out of a really strong desire to do that. You know, I was 6, 7 years old. All my friends wanted to join. It's all we talked about. Military was really cool. And then 16, 17, they all moved on to other stuff, and I just still had that urge. So joined in 2008 and had a couple of different roles and jobs. One of the most interesting things for me, unique experiences, was being able to formally study Chinese out in California for a couple of years.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that helped with kind of spurring my college education after the Marine Corps, because a lot of those credits studying Chinese in the Marines transferred and kind of kickstarted my undergrad after the Marine Corps.
That's awesome. So out of that, so I see that when you got finished with the Marine Corps, then you went to Ohio State University, and that's where you got involved with Bunker Labs. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so I was in my senior year, right as I started the program. So as I mentioned, a lot of those credits that I got studying Chinese in the Marines carried over. So I only had about a year to study. But, my wife and I had 3 kids at that point. We had just transitioned out of the Marines. I was going straight into studying in the Chinese program at Ohio State. And so I was looking for opportunities to transfer into the civilian work sector, and not really sure what that looked like or what the good options were. But I knew what I was pretty passionate about as a person. And while a lot of my skills, my hard skills from the military didn't translate super well into the civilian workforce, I knew I wanted to just help people. I didn't know how that would manifest itself in the job. So got connected to Michael McNett, who was the executive director of Bunker Labs in Columbus back in 2017, 2018. And he had a fellowship position open doing program management, so a lot of the event coordination. So I jumped into that while I was still studying my undergrad, and that was kind of how things kicked off.
So a part of my show is I like to have fun. You can probably tell by my energy together. Just me as a person, how I am. I'm super bubbly. So I like to know, I always say my superpower is making events engaging. That's just, I love working with people. I work with event planners like all the time. It's like my full-time thing here with Scavenger. And I want to know your superpower. What's your power?
Yeah, so I really think, and this seems like a weird thing to say as a superpower, but it's having meaningful and genuine conversations with people. I can't have an engagement with another person and have it not be impactful in some way. Like, I can't leave that conversation without having some tangible, useful thing come out of it that I can do to help that person. So I suppose caring about people might be the simplest way to phrase that, even though that might sound a little bit odd. But I really, really enjoy having those meaningful, impactful conversations and interactions with people.
Pete, you know what? I'm going to agree with you. It's funny you said that, because after we met with you that first time at Rev 1, I was like, he is such a cool guy.
Well, it was mutual. It was definitely mutual.
Yeah, it was like so cool because, we had our meeting and we were just like, wow, he gets it. He's like a really cool guy. So I get what you're saying about being meaningful and impactful. because I did see that with you when we had our initial meeting. So that is definitely true. I can definitely vouch for you with that.
Yeah, well, I can definitely vouch for your superpower as well, because we've done an event with your platform and you guys being involved there. So I mean, I've seen it in action firsthand how you really make those events engaging.
Well, thanks, Pete. We're going to touch on that a little later. So thanks for that brief intro. We're going to touch on that definitely a little later in the conversation. All right. So Pete, it says here, like I said before, that you're the city leader at Bunker Labs Columbus. And could you share, some information about the Columbus chapter of Bunker Labs?
So we have a lot of folks that pitch in with volunteering, with partnering. There's a lot of people in the community that help out. But the core team, there's 3 city leaders at any given chapter at the local levels. So I help with some of the operations, program support, and everything else. I've had to take a little bit of a back seat just to my workload and family and everything else. So Nick Wright has been kind of dual hatting a lot of the programming and logistics work with me. And then Kim Tapia she really heads up a lot of the entrepreneur engagement, building out the program services, the connections, and the resources for the veteran entrepreneurs that we work with. So she does a lot of advising and connects folks with resources that might be a good fit to help them out with their specific businesses. And she does a ton of work with the events and, getting panelists and picking topics and everything, a lot of work in the planning. And then Melinda Cogley joined the team in the last month or so in the kind of the community leader area. So helping to identify and establish those partnerships with other organizations and businesses in town that, would be able to bring a lot of value to our network and what we're trying to do in the veteran community. So that's kind of the core team on the leadership position. But again, there's a lot of folks that volunteer time, both at the events as well as meeting with the veteran entrepreneurs that we help and guiding them. So it's really grown a lot. The relationships we have with organizations in town, it's become very, very collaborative. Columbus is a great place to have, events collaboratively between organizations when they want to sponsor them or if they want to be involved in them in another way. So it's grown a lot.
That's cool. And actually, I've been to a couple of the events, and the first one we went to, I thought was good. I learned a lot, and it was good to be there. And I think I shared this with you, but just to know there's other veterans, because I did not know about you guys until we had our first meeting. And we've been in Columbus for years, and I'm like, I didn't even know that there was like other veterans that are here, that are entrepreneurs that are either getting started or been in business for a while, but that I can connect with. And I thought that was so awesome. So I want to thank you for that introduction because I've benefited from it personally. I just think it's good. I've met some really cool people. And the meetings I think are great too. And I'm looking for, coming to others that you guys host as well.
Yeah. One of the biggest value props to the veteran entrepreneurs that come to the events is just the networking. I mean, beyond maybe tangible resources, which obviously are important, just getting them connected. Like you said, meeting other people that are going through something similar is hugely beneficial to your own experience. It's encouraging, if nothing else. So connecting that community together and also connecting them to resources that can tangibly help with their goals with their businesses is kind of the whole point of the structure here. So it's great to hear that it worked well for you as well.
Yes. And you know what else I found at meeting the people at the events is that we all share that common veteran energy, and I don't think I've mentioned this on my podcast, but yes, I am a United States Air Force veteran. I think it's the first time I've ever said that.
What?
Yeah, I am. But yeah, like meeting the other veterans there, they're all really cool and everyone was really helpful. And everyone that I've talked to was either like trying to find a way that we could either do something together or how they can help me. And I thought that was so cool. What you guys are doing, like the mission, you can definitely feel it and you see it when you go to the meeting. So if there's any other veterans that are listening that have not connected with Bunker Labs or been to any of the Bunker Brews, I definitely encourage you to go. There are a lot of cool people that go there. And I'm not just saying that because I... One of the questions I had for you was, what makes your events brilliant?
Yeah.
And I know you're special just because, like I said before, just the way you engage, I can tell you care when you're talking to people. And it does translate over into the events. I was drawn into Bunker Labs because of you. And and it was a good thing. It is a good thing, I should say. And so tell us, like, how does that translate? Like, I know you take it, but you can probably explain it way better than I can. What part of you, what makes your events brilliant?
Yeah, and it's a team thing, obviously. My superpower, strong interest in making things impactful for people through the engagements. Obviously, I bring that as much as I can to the events, but our team is phenomenal, and I would not be able to do this by myself. So I'll definitely qualify this whole thing with that. But
Okay.
I think there's four things that I've really identified for myself when I'm the primary event organizer, that I've noticed between an event going really, really well and being mediocre, or just quite frankly not going well at all. So I'll kind of walk through those, and feel free to chime in with questions throughout. But so the first one, I found that the event coordinator, whoever's putting this thing on, they have to actually care about what they're doing. It's not the sort of thing, and that might be obvious or seem obvious, but it can't just be a job. Putting on a good event cannot just be a job.
Right.
If the coordinator's not passionate about what's going on, the topic or the audience, or whatever component of it is driving them, the event really, quite frankly, won't go well. That there is a leadership aspect to event coordination, and as in any leadership situation, if the leader is not engaged and really driving the whole thing, it's just not going to go well. So that's the first one. And two, and this goes back to what I was just talking about, you have to surround yourself with other team members that are going to support the event with similar passion. So that's tough, but Bunker Labs here in Columbus has a great team, and I'm really, really blessed to be part of it. But talented, passionate team members to support that is critical to it. You cannot do this by yourself. Um, and
Now
then,
I'm gonna
yeah,
and
yeah,
I gotta
chime in.
now Kim and Michael, great people. So you're
Yeah,
right. You do have a good team that was working with you at those events. That's who I meant. I thought it was great. I just wanted to
yeah.
say that.
Yeah, Kim Tapia is phenomenal. So you've obviously met her, and I mean she is all over the entrepreneur ecosystem in Columbus, the veteran community. Lots of different. I mean, she volunteers at a lot of different nonprofits. She's got her hands in so much stuff, and she's impactful in basically everything she does. And she runs multiple successful companies. So she's an absolute rock star. We're blessed to have her on the team, and yeah, other team members as well. And there's folks that volunteer with us. So it's a really, really good team. Um, so three, planning well is obviously important, but there will be things with event coordination they will go wrong during an event. It's going to happen. Things like food are a little bit outside of your control to some degree. Obviously, plan it, schedule it, call and verify, but things will still go wrong because other people are involved, and humans are, they're not infallible. So things are going to go wrong, and just embrace that to the degree that you can. The real
Right.
time challenges are going to be there. They're inevitable, and just try and have fun with them as much as you can. If you have fun with it and just roll with it, they're not actually going to they're not going to be that big of a deal. I mean, these aren't life-threatening things, so there's no reason to be panicky about it. But for those people with backgrounds like mine, which I won't dig into, but you really want the nitpicky detail, don't want anything to go wrong, this is tough to grasp. So I think it's
Oh, I
important.
get
It's
that.
important to realize. Yeah, it sounds like you might have similar tendencies. It's not a bad thing; it's a strength, but it's something you have to come to grips with.
Yes, that is true. That is true. And the thing is like other people usually do not know that something is wrong. Only you do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. That's a super
Right.
good point. And if you, yeah, you
So
could
I
you
want
could
to
be
just
the reason everybody suddenly realizes there's something going wrong.
right, right. So I just smile.
Yeah,
And it all
exactly.
goes away.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's something you gotta just kind of grasp and roll with, but realize it's inevitable. And then finally, um, the event coordinator, even though you're running all of these things and there's a lot of logistics going on and you're going to be running around, it's going to be chaotic to some degree. You have to engage with the attendees during the event. Don't spend the whole time talking with the team and trying to do coordination and nitpick this, that, and the other thing. Like, get out there, introduce yourself, your passion for that event. Going back to point one, um, it has to show to the folks that are coming there, and drive that, lead that, and really get involved with what's going on at the event, not just the behind the scenes running of it. It's, day of. Um, so again, going back to that leadership thing, on the day of, your attitude and the way that you guide that entire event while it's running it's going to dictate how everybody else behaves.
That is true, Pete. And I would just want to touch back when you were talking about engaging with the attendees. That is so important because when they come, like I did when I went to the Bunkers Brews, I felt welcomed and it made me want to come back.
Mm.
So, and it, I'm sure other attendees feel the same way. When they go somewhere, especially where there's a network of people like Bunkers Brews, or there's other veterans, for example, you're looking to connect with other people. And if you have people who are greeting you and even people you don't know, it makes it easier when they're walking up to you, especially for people like me who are,
Mm-hmm.
introverts. It just
Yeah.
really does help when other people are coming to you saying, hi, is it your first time? Thanks for coming. Just something that small means a lot. And I
Yeah.
feel that it does help to want to have people to come back to your events.
Yeah. Yep. That is spot on. And other people will start doing that when they see you doing it too. Someone has to step. If the person in charge isn't doing that, then the people around them aren't going to do it either. And everyone has this a very sad tendency to go a little bit internal, and you just end up seeing folks with their drink and their food, and they're kind of just sitting by themselves. And so, yeah, I think it's really, really important to do. The whole point is to have an impact on someone's life in a way that you probably won't even be able to recognize in that first part of the conversation. So, got to put yourself out there.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about engagement.
Yeah,
Let, let's talk about the March events for Bunkers Brews.
yeah.
And we had lots of engagement at the Bunker Brews. And you guys did something unique.
Hmm. We
And it's where
did.
you.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, and I'm excited to jump into this because this this is not me just tooting your horn because I'm on your podcast. This is me really excited to talk about how your platform and what you guys do at ScanVenger really helped drive engagement at one of our events. So yeah, March 22nd, our Bunker Brews earlier this year. We had you guys come out and do the whole shebang, like at all parts of the engagement platform that you bring to the table. You brought there, and it was a ton of fun. Um, so the problem that we touched on earlier being, when you have a volunteer staff of 3 people, and if you're targeting 40 to 50 people at an event, there's no way you can have a meaningful conversation with every single person that comes. It's just not physically possible. So how do you get those folks? They're just first, second time, feeling a little bit self-conscious about themselves. How do you get them to engage when you can't physically go out and reach every single person? Um, your platform really assists with that. So standalone, as because your platform was the focus of that event, and we interviewed you and Sean as part of
Mhm.
a fireside chat and got to hear your story, which was awesome. But
Thank
that platform itself was the whole topic. So we didn't even have to have another thing going on. It was that engaging. Um, so yeah, it was a great way to supplement a passionate staff, but also kind of solve the problem of not being able to reach out and touch every single person there.
That's true. And thank you for the compliments.
Oh
And
yeah,
we had a blast at that event. And everyone that did it, they all had a blast. And there were so many different aspects that we brought to that. Like you said, we did. We brought the platform. You guys had the leaderboard, you had the interactive name badges,
yeah,
and people really got to engage in a different way, and they got to learn something about the other attendees that they engaged with using their smartphones. And it was easy, and that's what we heard. It was easy and it was fun, and
yeah,
that's what we go for, so that it doesn't disrupt anything. It's more of an enhancement to what is already
yeah.
going.
That's the perfect word for it. I think I said supplement, and that's really not the best word. Enhancement is absolutely the best way to describe that. And getting people to engage with each other is tough enough, but the way that you guys have done it, I mean, the two truths and a lie thing is it's just a ton of fun. I mean, even if you're feeling really, really shy and self-conscious, like you can't not walk away from a conversation with someone about two random truths and a lie and not be smiling. It's just fun. And that's how people get into deeper conversations. I mean, common ground, a little bit of humor, it goes so far.
That is so true. That is so true. For people like you and me who are introverts, and it's not just that easy to walk up.
I love it. It's two introverts doing a podcast. This is phenomenal.
Right. It's funny. Two better introverts doing a podcast.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, it just makes it easier because now, like, we're at an event and if we're doing the two truths and a lie or the interactive name badges, I have a little intro I can use. I can hey, can I scan your badge? That's like the opening line now.
Yeah, and it's a given. It's that, that's what people are expecting. Like, this is how we start our conversation, and it's just a lot of fun from there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there you learn all kind of cool stuff about people.
Oh yeah.
The cool things they've done, where they wanted to go, what they've done already, and some things are so unbelievable. But it is fun, and you just learn a lot of cool things about people, and it's engaging, and like I said,
it is.
So it's already going on at the event. So thanks for that, because we had a blast doing that.
Oh, we had a lot of fun. Really, yeah. Thank you for coming out there and doing that with us. It was a ton of fun.
Yeah, and I have to say this. I have to say that Kim was number one.
Kim was number one. I was sitting here thinking about, should I talk about how Kim was number one? Because, man, that was hard. That was hard to just deal with, because we're all really competitive. I think the veteran community might be a little bit more competitive than maybe other events that you'll go to too. So that was tough to admit, but Kim was number one.
She held that spot the whole time.
She did. She crushed it.
All right. So Pete, this has been a wonderful interview, and I'm sure there are other people who would love to know more about Bunker Labs and Bunker Brews. So tell us how they can get in contact with you.
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn pretty often, and I think that's probably the best way to reach out, especially if we haven't met before, is just connect with me on LinkedIn. So you can find me there, Pete Georgeff, and I'm happy to take the conversation from there, whatever I can do to help out.
All right, cool. And Pete, could you spell your name just for those who are listening to the podcast?
Yes. And this is where it's unfortunate not to just have, last name of Smith. So I will do my best to get this accurate for everybody. But so Pete, P-E-T-E, that one's pretty straightforward. And then my last name is Georgeff, Georgeff. And for you military folks, Golf Echo Oscar Romeo, Golf Echo Foxtrot. And if you put that in LinkedIn, you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Pete, thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and I'm so glad that you have been on the Brilliant Events and Venues podcast. And I do look forward to doing more work with you and visiting more Bunkers Brews and connecting with more veterans like myself. And did you have any last words that you wanted to share with the listeners?
No, I mean, just thank you for having me on here. It's always fun to talk with you. And I think we're actually going to have you guys out at the May Bunker Brews coming up here on May 22nd. So I should be seeing you there.
Awesome. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And
thank you.
Yes, thanks. Increase attendee engagement at your events with Scavenger's game-based mechanics. Learn more at scavengerhunt.biz or give us a call at 800-975-5161.